doing? Welcome to another live session, and yeah, can't wait to start hearing what you've all been up to. Obviously, this is the first of 3 live sessions that I'll be doing between now and Christmas, which is rapidly approaching. What are we? We are Monday. We have just over a week until Christmas. I can't believe how quick it's come around this year. I don't know what you guys think, but I am so not ready yet. I'm just trying to get my head around the last few bits of work. So yeah, we'll come on to what I've been up to and what I'm going to be doing in a little while, but I just wait for a few more people to log on. I've had a few messages from people saying they're going to be joining tonight. So yes, what have we got so far? Charlotte's Eden, she said, sorry, I won't be able to watch you this time. We'll catch you next time. No worries, Charlotte. As I say, this is the first of 3 lives that I'll be doing. First one, obviously, tonight. The second one on Wednesday night this week, slightly later time, 7 p.m. UK time, just to try and give people a bit more time to get home from work and hopefully log on and join me for another hour. And then the last one, the Christmas special, if you like, the Christmas edition, we are going to do on Saturday the 20th. So the last Saturday before Christmas, in just under a week's time, coming up this weekend. So really looking forward to it. So hopefully some of you can join, you can dip in and out, and obviously I will be putting these on the channel afterwards as well. So if you have to leave at any point, don't worry, I'll upload the whole live session, every live session, these next 3 sessions, to the channel over the next few days as they are finished. So yes, don't panic. Obviously, you won't therefore get the chance to ask me any burning questions if you aren't joining live, but at least you'll be able to catch up and hopefully learn a few things in the process. So what have we got? Cossacks 1986 said, what's the best wildlife find you have had in the pond you've built, Joel? Whew, that is a good question. Well, I didn't find it, but I don't know, for those of you that have been watching the channel for a while, you will have seen that I've been out to Panama 3 years ago now, just over 3 years ago now, to make a wildlife pond for my good friend Jim, who has 200 acres on this island just into the archipelago of part of the Caribbean off the coast of Panama. Absolutely incredible setting. If you haven't seen any of those videos, go to the Panama playlist and go and check out the wildlife pond that I built over there. It's over several videos, if you like. And what an amazing experience it was. But not long after I built the pond, I had a message from Jim, and it was a picture of, drum roll, a spectacled caiman, a 4 feet long spectacled caiman. And I think that's probably, it was not one I've found, but that's probably the best, shall we say, animal to ever visit a Wildflower Garden wildlife pond, I would think. So yeah, although I've had loads of cool stuff where I'm working at the moment, customer sent me pictures of a kingfisher on the pond. In fact, I've had that many times. I had a client in Wales who I made a pond for a couple of years ago, which I will be doing an update on soon, which is in this really lovely secluded little valley in Wales. They had goosander on the pond not long back, grey wagtails many times, visiting nearly every pond I build. Obviously a plethora of dragonfly and damselfly species. So yeah, so much wildlife, almost too much to name. But yeah, very nice selection of birds I've certainly had over the years, I've had photos sent to me from the clients, which is just brilliant. It just makes my day every time I've received some of these pictures. It's absolutely fantastic. Keith said, hi Joel, nice surprise. Yes, where's the year gone? Yeah, I can't believe it. It's really gone by very quickly, Keith. Mark from Grimsby, how are you doing? Yeah, Mark, not a million miles from me. Mark up in my hometown or home county of Lincolnshire, where I moved to back at the end of March now. So been in my new house, the Georgian Wildlife Garden series. If any of you have seen that, I've been in there now for 8 months, and I'm just about getting to grips with it. I'm still learning things every week about what's there, what's popping into flower. Obviously not much this time of year, but yeah, getting to know the bird life, and I really can't wait to share a load more videos from the Georgian Wildlife Garden with you over the course of the next 12 months and hopefully forevermore while this channel exists, because of course I will be documenting everything I do to that garden, of which there are many things I am currently wanting to do, but I just don't have the time, or I haven't had the time because I've been so busy with many projects. Rob's joined. Nice to see you, Rob. Rob from New Jersey. Rob is a good friend of mine. He sent me a fantastic video of some of the Christmas decorations and lights in New York recently. Absolutely wonderful to see. So thanks for that, Rob. Louise said, hey from Denmark. Hi, nice to see you. Nice. Thanks for joining us from Denmark. Fantastic. I do love seeing how many different countries you're all joining from on these lives. Absolutely fantastic. Mark's Tarantulas has said, I've got marsh frogs in my wildlife pond. They make a racket. Yes, they certainly do. Marsh frogs, yeah, really, really cool little frog. I've not seen them in the wild in the UK. There are small pockets of them, but yeah, would love to see some in a wildlife pond I've made. Joel Kennedy, good name, Joel. Hey Joel, I'm interested in starting a wildlife business. What advice would you give to get started? Love the videos. Well, there's an entire video in itself, I think, probably a series. It's a question I get asked a lot, to be honest with you. A lot of people obviously wanting to go into conservation, and particularly gardening for wildlife. And I think that's great. There are, so many more people nowadays that are interested in gardening for wildlife. Hence the explosion of the subscribers on this channel over the last 5 years. We've just hit 120,000 subscribers recently. It's absolutely amazing. I haven't even had a chance to do a little thank you video, and thank you to YouTube as well for sending me my 100,000 subscriber play button that they sent me in the post, which is brilliant to receive. I just haven't had a chance to do a little video about that. But yeah, the explosion in subscribers, I can only deduce from that is that there are loads of people wanting to make a career out of gardening for wildlife, which is obviously what I've done over the last 20 years. And I'd love to share information with you all, maybe in a series or something in the future, where I can help you understand where I've come from, how I got to be where I am today, which is a wonderful position where I'm making habitats for wildlife day in, day out, all around the UK and in other countries around the world, which is just wonderful. And to see so many of you enthused about doing that as well is really heartwarming for me. So yes, to go back to the original question, Joel, I mean, yeah, I don't think I could begin to cover it in a an hour's session, so I think there needs to be some more content on that. But I would say just start small, if you can. If you've got an existing gardening business, then just try pushing people to put up bird boxes. If the hardest part I found in the beginning was actually persuading people to, or finding the clients, if you like, but also persuading existing clients to do more for wildlife. And I think that's a bit of a hurdle at times, and you can become a little bit despondent, I found in the beginning. But with a bit of persuasion, I think people can be kind of guided down the route of gardening for wildlife. And it doesn't take much if you just simply put up a bird box for a blue tit or something, and you get the client seeing the life being formed in front of their very eyes, in terms of the chicks hatching from a box. That can spark an instant infatuation with the natural world sometimes. And I've known people get in touch that have been 60, 70, 80 years old, who have sent me emails or commented on some of the previous videos and said, I can't believe my eyes have only just opened to gardening for wildlife. I wish this had happened decades ago. So it's never too late. And I think therefore you can always persuade people. It doesn't matter what age they are in life, they can always be persuaded to do more for wildlife, I think. So yes, hopefully the videos are a big help, but I'll move on, Joel, but I will come back to this topic. So thank you. And glad you're enjoying the videos. Philomena's joined. She's sent a waving hand. Hey Phil, nice to see you. I need to get back to film your pond. I made a wildlife pond for Philomena over in Worcestershire. Was it a year ago? I can't remember, a year, 2 years. I don't know. It flies. I make so many ponds during the course of a year, and then of course I think, was that 2 years, 3 years? I don't know, but yeah, I need to come back and make a proper video of yours, Phil. GM said, what is your favourite garden pond predator? Mine is, where are we? Sorry, comments jumped there. Mine is Megalodon, personally. Oh, come on, GM. You told me about stuff the other time. I'm going to move on from that. I've not seen any Megalodons in any of my ponds so far, I'll tell you that for free. Toadstool, hi Joel, I've been putting food out for the birds for a few weeks now, but I don't get any. It's always fresh food. What can I do? Yes, well, the positioning of a bird feeding station is always key to how many birds will be attracted to your garden or to feed in the garden. Wherever you put a feeding station, I would always recommend putting it by some cover. If it's feeders, if it's ground food, I would keep it fairly open quite often, because you tend to find if you put it near bushes, then often birds are a little bit kind of spooked by the possibility of a cat jumping out from a bush. If it's just like a tray of mealworms or something, they can be put off a little bit. But if it's a feeding station, if it's a pole, for example, with several feeders, I would always put that by some cover. If you simply put it in the middle of a lawn, quite often you can find that things like the sparrowhawks we get in the UK, or if you're in the States, you know, your sharp-shinned hawks, your Cooper's hawks, these sorts of birds are very agile, and they're a lot faster than some of the smaller birds that we get, a lot of the tit species and small thrush species. So it's easy for them to come straight over a fence, and they're almost on the feeder before these birds can get away. So a feeder in an open spot is not necessarily a good thing. So I'd always recommend putting a feeding station close to some cover, whether that's climber on the edge of a house or some, you know, dense shrubs just on the edge of it, so they can dip back into the shrubs for cover if they hear an alarm call from another bird, or indeed they see a predatory bird flying into the garden. So hope that helps answer that question. Frederick said hello from Italy. Hello Italy. I hope we got a bit warmer weather than it is here in the UK at the moment. Oh, it's fairly mild, to be fair. We've not had too many cold nights or too many frosts so far this year. Keith said there are marsh frogs at Gaze and Salts in Sandwich. Not seen them myself though. Yes, I've heard about the marsh frogs down your way, Keith, down in the southeast of England. Keith's in Kent. Yeah, there are small populations of them. And another man from Kent, Paul Basham. Hey Paul, nice to see you've joined. Thank you for joining us. Yvonne said hi, thank you very much. Nice to see you, Yvonne. Thank you for joining us again. Rob Tofog from the US. Any plans on creating wildlife pond here in the US? Yes, Rob. I definitely need to get to the US. There's loads of people who've asked me to come and create some ponds for them in the US. I need to do a US series because I think there is huge potential for people to do what I'm doing here in the UK, but in the States. I mean, so many of you watch from the States. I think it's fantastic. And I'd love to kind of make some ponds to show you some examples of some wildlife ponds that I've made in the States with the, you know, the native plants that you would find in the wild in different parts of the US. So yeah, anybody who's looking for a wildlife pond in the States, yeah, let me know and I'll try my best to come out there and make you one. Mark said, when will you be releasing the chalk stream video? My local river is chalk stream fed river freshly in Grimsby. Ah, fantastic. Yes, Mark. Yeah, I really need to do that one. So if you haven't seen, I made a short a little while back on the channel of a chalk stream that I recreated. Okay, it's not, you know, you can't really create a chalk stream. It's obviously a natural habitat, but I did my best at creating a chalk stream in South Yorkshire, which was a really fabulous project, made obviously from chalk, and the clients were based on chalk ground, so it was a really interesting project. I did a little short of that recently, but I'm yet to make the full video. It was a fantastic project. It was effectively 2 ponds with a bit of a chalk stream running in between them. So yes, I will do that as soon as I can, Mark. I'm hoping over January I'll have a bit more time to make a few more videos for you all, some longer form stuff, because I know you love to see that. Mertzi, hi Mertzi, nice to see you. Hi Joel, just bought one of those no dig mini wildlife ponds. Should I wait until spring to set it up in the garden? Should I wait until I have relevant plants? Well, you can get it in now. There's nothing stopping you digging a wildlife pond now. I'm digging wildlife ponds 12 months of the year, so you can certainly get them dug and lined, or if it is one of the sort of preformed ponds, if you like, you can get it in the ground, add some water to it. You'll most certainly get birds coming to bathe and drink, even if you've not got a lot of plants for it. Obviously, if you're looking for any advice for the plants, we've got the online shop, wildyourgarden.com, where I can offer you free advice if you're looking to buy some pond plants from us. Oxygenators, marginal plants, baskets, lilies, all that kind of stuff that we obviously sell on the online shop. And then we will have more stock, of course, of things coming in the spring. So entirely up to you. I would always say get a pond in the ground, then it can be establishing, because it's amazing how many insects will visit it, even when you think there's not much life out there in the wider countryside. There's always stuff that will visit a pond. I was clearing out a pond last week and there were still newts in it. I've seen a couple of frogs recently, so it's still not that cold and they are still active in and around ponds at the moment. So definitely get it in the ground if you can. Let's have a look. Just catch up with a few of the comments. Nan and Dill, hello, nice surprise to see you streaming. Yes, nice for you to join me, thank you. Let's have a look. Jules C said hi. Hi Jules, nice to see you. You're in Cheshire. Where am I? I'm currently in Surrey. So I've actually been doing a fun little project today. I've been working for a client who I've already made a wildlife pond for. And I've been planting some rather large mahonia shrubs for the start of what will be hopefully a really nice semi-shady herbaceous border for insects, in particular bees. Mahonias, if you're not familiar with them, are an evergreen shrub, and they're starting to flower now, and they'll flower through Christmas and right into January. And they're really good. They're not native, but they're really good for any early emerging bees or bees that might happen to be on the wing in any warmer days. And I just love them. They're a great plant, and the berries are this lovely little sort of blue oval shaped berries which are eaten by things like blackbirds and thrushes as well. So they are a good shrub and a good evergreen cover as well. And so I've been planting 5 of those with my trusty friend Bob. And those of you that have been watching the channel for a while will know that Bob is actually my mechanical aid. He's my digger that I've had for a few years now, and he's been really helpful today, because these things were enormous. I mean, the pots were like huge, so I couldn't even lift them up. I think they were 100-litre pots or something. Anyway, so I've been helping, or Bob's been helping me dig the holes, and then I've been planting these mahonias, and then the client's going to carry on and plant lots of plants, lots of kind of evergreen and semi-shade loving plants in and amongst these mahonias. So yeah, a little time lapse I'll be doing of that soon. So yes, I digress slightly, Jules, but that's where I am. I'm in Surrey and I'm currently working on that. And Louise said, I almost hate bird boxes. I've put up so many since I moved in 3 years ago. They don't get used. Yeah, positioning of bird boxes is a tricky one, Louise. Check out, I think there's a bird boxes playlist on the channel. If not, have a flick through. I've done loads of videos on how and where to site bird boxes. There are several rules you should be following in terms of the height, the positioning and all the rest of it. But generally speaking, north and east facing for bird boxes. As high up as you comfortably can, out of the reach of cats, and so north and east facing if it's on a house or a tree trunk, just because it helps keep the nest cooler. It's not going the south or the west facing sunny side of the house, if you like, so it's not getting too hot when they've got young in the nest. But yeah, go check out some of those videos, Louise. I've got plenty on the channel that'll hopefully help. Keith said, I've noticed sharp decline in house sparrows this year. Not sure if bird flu is the reason. Yeah, bird flu, big problems with it here in the UK. It's currently rampaging through a lot of swan populations, unfortunately. Mute swans and a few hooper swans, I think, now as well. Now that we have our kind of overwintering stock, if you like, of hooper swans, unfortunately it's hitting them. But many birds suffering from bird flu. It really is a big problem at the moment. So if you see any birds kind of not acting normally, don't try and pick them up or touch them. Get in touch with the BTO and try and report it. If you think you have concerns, then they'll hopefully help you. But yes, it's a really sad thing to see, unfortunately. Sleepy3164, hi from Cheshire. Glad I finally managed to catch live. Glad you could join us. Hopefully it's good fun. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Pups and Roses. Hello Joel and hello everyone. Thank you for joining. Nice to see you. Jules in Mid Cheshire. Seattle, USA. Yes, thank you. Wow, fantastic. Our second viewer from the States, I think. So thank you for joining us. Mercy said it's crazy warm in Ireland at the moment. We have all of our spring bulbs sprouting already. Yes, do you know, where was I? This garden. It was earlier today. I was trying to think then. There's already, and in my own garden, I've already got signs of bulbs coming up. Things like snowdrops in particular, they will be shooting up as soon as you... as soon as you get to Christmas usually, but we're obviously week behind, not even at Christmas yet, and they're already popping up. Generally speaking, January is when you'll start to get a few snowdrops and things coming out, but very mild autumn here in the UK. GM, any tips on attracting giant apes to my garden? Yeah, good one. I'll move swiftly on. Jules, Jules just saying where she is. Filmmaker Crossley. David, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Not up with all this technology, but we've enjoying your live broadcast. Thanks, David. David, if you haven't seen any of David's videos, then I strongly recommend you go and check them out. David Crossley's Great Outdoors. I've done an interview with him on his own wildlife garden, which is now over 40 years old. Absolutely phenomenal garden, and I love that garden. It's right in the middle of an urban setting, but go and check out that video I made on the interviews tab and go down to the one with David. But also check out David's channel, because David does do monthly and bi-monthly videos about gardening for wildlife and a tour of his own garden. So it's great to see the way he documents the changes of the garden throughout the course of year, which is wonderful. It's something that I hope to do much more of now that I'm, I've got a decent sized garden that I can work with. It's just getting to be at home a little bit more is proving a bit tricky. Obviously we're working all around the UK, but go check out David's channel. Really good to see you, David. So thank you for joining us. Let's have a look. Pups and Roses, everyone needs a trusty friend named Bob. Yes, they do. Absolutely. Yeah. Joel said, Joel, how's Angel? Yes, Angel, the rescue dog that we got back in August. Unfortunately, she's still at large. She's still out and about. We're still trying to track her down. She keeps moving around so much. We've got several feeding stations out for her. We've got lots of people searching for her. We've got drone teams. Yeah, it's been a full-on mission almost trying to track this dog down. She's obviously living her best life and doesn't want to come home because she's looking well. She's on a lot of the camera traps regularly, but unfortunately she's just not in one place for long enough. She seems to roam quite a bit. So yes, we are working on getting Angel home, Jules. So I'll keep you all posted on that one when I've got a better update for you. Sleepy said, I've had a cowslip out in flower for about 2 weeks now. Wow, that is early. Cowslips normally end of March, early April, but yeah, not December, that's for sure. Everything is magic 360. I'm sure I saw Forsythia in bloom today. Yes, that is, again, that's early for Forsythia. Forsythia is a very good one for bees. Another lovely yellow flower, a bit like the Mahonia. Slightly later flowering, usually that's more sort of February and into March time, the Forsythia. But another good one, again, not native in the UK, but a really good shrub, I think. So definitely worth putting some in your garden if you can. Let's have a look. Louise was replying about what I was saying about hanging bird feeders. We don't have many places to hang them There was only grass and a few bushes, trees when we moved in, so all the bushes are too small to hang anything in. Okay, yeah, well, we'll try, Louise, like I say, if you can, to get one of them. You can get a metal pole feeder, which can usually hang 4 or 5 feeders off it, and place that next to, you can usually push them into the ground and place that next to the bushes that you've got in the garden, and hopefully that will entice them. You can also try growing some climbers, some quick growing climbers up your fences. If you put a bit of trellis on your fences, things like hop, honeysuckle doesn't take too long to establish as well. And hopefully that will give enough cover for birds to feel safe to kind of be in there and nip out to the food and then nip back in again. So yeah, that's another thing you can do. So hopefully that helps. Jules said, I love David Cross's channel. They are a super couple. Yeah, David and Audrey is some fantastic videos, like I say. So just go check his videos out. You won't regret it. He's fantastic. He's been making films for a lot longer than I have, I can assure you, and his editing skills are far superior. But yeah, do check out his videos. They are just fantastic. They really are. Angel is a modern day lassie. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. So Duncan said, hi, is it a good idea to have a bird feeder beside a pond, or should I place it a bit further away? I'd say probably place it a bit further away if you can, Duncan, only because you don't want any of the seed ideally dropping into the pond and then starting to rot and break down. And also sometimes that kind of bird activity can maybe put off other birds that might want to bathe and drink in the margins of the pond. So yes, I should put it a bit further away. Again, next to some cover if you can, Duncan. Next to any sort of tree or lower growing shrubs, climbers, even ivy on a boundary wall. Many a house sparrow colony I've seen situated within a dense clump of ivy on a wall. So yeah, they will take to ivy even on the side of a house. So it's just having that dense cover for them to make them feel safe. Jules, yeah, thanks, Jules. If you could tell GM to stop spamming the chat, that'd be great. You already have done, thank you. Louise, it was bird box. I had a feeder and it is in use. Okay, sorry. Yes, bird boxes. So the bird boxes themselves, yeah, again, they're, yes, as high as you can and away from any paws of any cats, that's for sure. A bit of shelter if you can, out of the wind, again north and east facing, and hopefully that should get some good results for you. Fingers crossed. Blue tits will nest, for example. Great tits, they'll nest on the wall of a house, as long as it's not like next to your front door or back door. They won't want that constant disturbance if you're coming in and out of an entranceway to your house. So yeah, maybe just place it kind of a bit further along the wall if it's on the house. Or fairly high up on the gable end of a shed if you can. Again, not too high so that a cat can sit on top of it. So it's all little things like that hopefully will help. Keith has said, I read recently you shouldn't put pine cones in bug hotels as this encourages spiders which predate the creatures you're trying to encourage. Yeah, I mean, that's a point, Keith. I mean, I guess spiders are going to take up residence whatever you put in a bug hotel, really, whether it's canes, whether it's old bricks, whether it's bark flakes itself, whether it's straw, anywhere they can kind of, make a bit of a web. But I guess that's all part of it. Spiders are part of that ecosystem within your garden. And equally, by having those spiders within the insect hotel, it often will encourage a lot of bird species in, things such as wrens, dunnocks, even long-tailed tits. They'll eat a lot of spiders. I've even seen long-tailed tits going around the outside of some of my window frames in the past, picking spiders off in the corners of the webs, hanging upside down on the brickwork and just pecking at the window. I thought they were trying to get in to begin with, but I realised then they're just picking small spiders off. So spiders, they're not a bad thing, and definitely they can bring in more wildlife into the area. So in particular birds, like I say, things like dunnocks, they're always kind of skulking around under a hedge. They used to be called the hedge sparrow. So dunnocks are quite often a bird you'll find kind of lurking in and around log piles. Same with wrens. So yeah, and they will eat a lot of spiders and invertebrates. So spiders are not a bad thing necessarily. I know you're not saying they are, but yeah, Duncan, thanks, Joel. Yeah, no problem. Paul said, great idea, this live stream, Joel. Great to see so many of your followers logging in. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Paul. It's something that I want to do more of in the new year, into 2026. So, yeah, stay tuned. Hopefully have some updates for you on that one, because it's been really great. I mean, the last three I did were a few weeks ago now, when I was up in Lancashire making the wetlands that I've been making up there. If you haven't seen any of those, again, go to the Lancashire wetlands playlist. It was a really fascinating project, that where I created 6 wildlife ponds / scrapes in a 3-acre field, as well as planting 150 native trees and shrubs, putting up barn owl box, kestrel box. Really brilliant project. I am going back there in the new year. Actually, I've got some more work to do, so stay tuned to the channel for that one. It's really a fantastic project, and I can't wait to show how this progresses, because it's all right me going and making all these habitats, but I really love to be able to go back and manage them as well where I can. And a lot of clients get me back every year to either carry out hay cuts or maintain the wildlife ponds, of which I've been maintaining a few of over the last couple of weeks, where it's been bitterly cold. The highlight of which was a couple of weeks ago in Gloucestershire, where I was smashing the ice on top of the pond before I got in it to pull some reeds out. And I can honestly say my hands have never hurt so much from the cold. That was, yeah, freezing. But it's all part of what I do, the services I offer, maintaining these ponds and these spaces, as well as creating them. And it's a really nice thing to be able to do, to go back and film the progression of these habitats and see how much life has turned up to them in a relatively short space of time very often. So yeah, but no, I really agree with you, Paul. I love the live streams, and they got a great reception last time. I'm hoping they'll get similar reception again. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then do subscribe and hit the notification bell, and then you will get notified. Obviously, if I'm going live at any point, you'll get a little notification come to your phone, so that you don't miss any of these lives. But again, I will be putting them on the channel as well. There'll be a live stream tab on the homepage that you can go to, and you can watch these back if there's bits you've missed, or you missed the beginning, or you missed their last half. I appreciate not all of you have the time to log in for an hour, so yeah, feel free to come and go as you please, and obviously catch up with the videos afterwards once they're uploaded. So yeah, thank you for that. Well, that's the comments caught up with. So now I'd like to just move on for a few moments about what I'm going to be doing in the coming weeks and months, and that includes the Georgian Wildlife Garden, which is a handful, but in a good way. It's what I've always dreamt of, and at the Georgian Wildlife Garden I have got a fair few projects that I'm looking to undertake, some of which are already underway, and I've done a couple of shorts on. I will do you a little bit of a tour as we get into the new year to show you what I've been up to, but I have done a few videos on the channel, so go to the homepage, check out the Georgian Wildlife Garden playlist, where I have been making some herbaceous borders. I've been doing a lot of dog fencing since we moved there, and also I'm partway through making a wildlife pond. Obviously, me being me, I couldn't go very long without starting a wildlife pond, and I've also been stripping off a lot of the lawn, or the majority of the lawn in my front garden, and trying to create a wildflower meadow there as well. But I've got tons coming up in this space in particular. So along with the wildlife pond, which is half dug, because every time I get a weekend free to do a few hours, I then have to cart Bob off to a new job on the Monday, and then I'm sometimes left for 2 or 3 weeks while he's on a job. This is Bob the digger, by the way. This isn't just like, you know, a guy that I know that I just like have in my garden full time. Although he's very handy. So Bob comes with me to the jobs, obviously to dig where I am digging here, for example, to help me plant these really big mahonias, to help me do the wildlife ponds, etc., etc. So it's not always that I have him at home where I can carry on with the pond. So the pond is coming along nicely. I'm about halfway through the pond dig itself. I've got the liner sat there, the fleece sat there, ready to go in the pond. I've just got to finish digging it. I've also got lots of native trees and shrubs I'm going to be looking to plant over the coming weeks. So stay tuned to the channel for that one, because I will be doing a video specifically on what I'm planting, where and why, because as you could probably guess, Many of the shrubs have a butterfly kind of theme to them, if you like. Things like the older buckthorn and the common buckthorn, which will be larval food plants, hopefully for the brimstone butterflies that I've already seen flying through the garden. But because there hasn't been much floral interest from when I took the garden on in the spring this year, they've not really stopped. So I want to create a home for them. I want to create larval food plants, feeding stations where they can nectar and they can build their energy reserves back up. And really make an actual environment that they're going to reside within instead of being just a pit stop. And that's part what I try to explain on the channel from time to time is trying to create habitats for invertebrates in particular that will just move through quite often. A lot of our insect species are roaming species, so things like our vanessid butterflies, our commas, peacocks, red admirals, a lot of them will continue to move in particular throughout the course of the season, and therefore they're going to breed as they go, so to speak. Things like a painted lady or the monarchs, if you're in the US, obviously they're always moving north and they're always breeding as they go, so it's harder to keep them in one spot. But certain species are or can become quite sedentary, which means that they will reside within quite a reasonably small area. So things like common blue butterflies, things like the orange tip butterfly, my favourite, things like meadow browns, these are common species that you can attract to your garden if you just plant the right plants for them and make a bit of habitat for them, leave some longer grassy areas. It's all this kind of stuff that I'm going to go into in more detail, obviously, as I start to create these habitats in the Georgian Wildlife Garden. So yes, loads coming up there. I'm also trying to create a dry stone wall. I've got about 10 to 12 metres of dry stone south-facing crescent of wall that I'm going to be creating to hopefully attract some common lizards. Yes, we do get lizards here in the UK. 2 lizards, of which we have, well, technically 3. We have the legless lizard, which is the slow worm, which I love, and I hope to attract them to the garden. We have the common lizard, and we have the sand lizard, which I don't expect to get in the garden because they're in some very remote sandy dunes in certain parts of the UK. But I do expect to hopefully get some common lizards, which I expect to take up residence within this dry stone wall when it's built. I've got all the stones sat on my driveway. Actually, Nikki's been very understanding, because every time I sort of go from one yard to home or whatever, I'm bringing stuff back and stockpiling it ready for the next project. So the driveway is rapidly becoming a bit of a dumping ground for materials that I will use at some point down the line. The trouble is I'm currently stockpiling faster than I'm actually using stuff, so I need to take stock over Christmas and start creating some more of these habitats. I've got some really interesting features I'm going to be adding around the pond as well. I'm going to be adding a nice sitting area or seating area, like an oak deck, which I really can't wait to add and start looking and enjoying, looking at and enjoying the wildlife in the pond when it comes in the course of next summer. Over which I'm going to put like a nice oak sort of pergola, which I'm going to grow some climbers up as well. So very much looking forward to getting that in. And generally just trying to improve the floral diversity across the whole site by seeding the wildflower meadow, by introducing lots of native wildflower species around the margins of the pond. I'm going to be creating a bog garden as well next to the pond, so that'll be an interesting little project. What else? Oh, I've got one area I'm also going to be trying to create a bit of a log walk, if you like, or a kind of a rotten stumpery. That's the word I'm looking for. And I've got a collection of stumps that I'm looking to try and then put into the garden, plant it all up with lovely native fern species, shade-loving species, foxgloves, red campion, loads of stuff, and create some banks and some walkways. Probably not to the same extent that are at Highgrove, but I really hope to try and create a bit of a kind of a walkway through part of the shady parts of the garden, just add some extra habitat and some interest. And then that's just one part of the garden. That's my kind of fenced off area from the dogs that I hope to create some really nice habitats over the course of this year. So as I say, stay tuned for those. And then I've got the other side of the garden where the dogs are currently, which is less important, where I'm going to create an entire formal garden in time. So raised veg beds. I'd like to put in a Victorian greenhouse or a Victorian style greenhouse. And then also to create some sort of formal pathways, formal herbaceous borders, and just make it that slight nod to formality, more so than the meadow and the wildlife pond, and everything that I'm doing on the kind of the east side of the garden. So yes, more videos on that in videos to come, of course, so stay tuned for those. I'm just going to have a quick catch up on a few comments that have come in while I've been explaining about a few of the things I'm going to be doing to the Georgian Wildlife Garden. Keith said, fair comment on the spiders, essential part, essential part of any garden's ecosystem. I just haven't had much luck encouraging bees into bug hotels. Yeah, well, bees in bug hotels, Keith, is usually the right hole size. So if you're looking to encourage red mason bees, I've found, funnily enough, they take better to canes than they do drilled holes in bricks. For those of you that remember my previous garden down in Essex, where I created the small front 20 square metre wildlife garden, had an absolute myriad of wildlife over a couple of years. I created a little bee hotel that kind of wrapped around the bay window, which is a really nice feature. And I spent ages and many drill bits drilling holes into some of the bricks that I put in one side of the bee hotel, and barely any of them were used. And they were the right size. They were the same size as the canes. They were 10, 12 mil, 8 mil. I did a whole kind of array of sizes, if you like. And there were hardly any red mason bees, but yet I had maybe 20 to 30 canes in and around the central part of my bee hotel that were actually used, and the females laid their eggs inside of. So yeah, quite frustrating, but fantastic to have attracted that colony of red mason bees to the front garden. So a nice south-facing sunny spot is what you want for attracting bees, in particular the red mason bees and leaf cutter bees. You should get to an insect hotel in your garden, hopefully, Keith. So fingers crossed, yeah, hopefully that works for you. If you get the right size holes and some canes, try them, and longer canes as well. They don't want to be kind of 2 or 3 inches long. Some of these insect hotels, they're not right. They need to have longer canes and longer cavities to lay 3 to 4 eggs in, to get the right temperature, and everything else is quite a fine balancing act for these insects. So yes, longer canes if you can. Jules said, Joel, that sunset short was absolutely stunning. Yes, I popped a little short on there the other day, funnily enough, from a back garden fence. It was a bit of a pan of where we are, which is right on the edge of the Lincolnshire fens, and just behind the house by half a mile or so starts the landscape called the Lincolnshire Wolds, which is this lovely kind of hilly hilly landscape, should I say, which sort of goes off in a northwesterly direction for 20 or 30 miles. And you would driving through it, you would think you're in Yorkshire or the Dales. It's really beautiful. So we're at this fantastic kind of junction between the Wolds to the north and the fens to the south. So we get this really nice eclectic mix of birds, insect species. I get 3 species of owl regularly calling in and around the garden: barn owl, tawny owl and little owl. So I've got boxes to put up for those, which is another job that I'm trying to squeeze or shoehorn into my bit of time off I'm hoping to take over the course of January. So I've got tawny, kestrel, barn owl and hopefully little owl box to put up as well in the garden, in some of the trees in and around the garden, on the side of the barn. I've got an old derelict barn. So yes, I've got quite a few projects to do. But yes, that sunset was wonderful. You're right, Jules. We do get some fabulous sunsets. There's a lot to be said for living on the edge or within a fenland landscape. It's called the big sky for that very reason. It's just this fantastic sunset that you get, especially this time of year. It's really beautiful, and some great sunrises as well. So I'll try and do some more of those as we move through the year. Jules said we had 3 bees camp in the hotel last winter. My 7-year-old grandson was super excited. Yeah, it's great. It just, when you see the bees going in and out, and I actually filmed a little bit of in my last house in the garden, like I say, I filmed some mud being taken to. I was lucky enough just to catch the point in which some mud was being placed to seal around the end of a cane, which was just wonderful. And the females will actually lay 2 to 3, sometimes 4 larvae within a cane that's say 6 to 8 inches long. And what they'll do is they'll be busy in there sort of packing all that sort of pollen and food source for the grub when it emerges into that little chamber. Then they'll seal off each individual chamber. And I don't know how they do it or how it works out, but they're obviously timed so that the grubs or the insects at the front of the chamber will emerge first, and then the other ones will break through after that and sort of work their way out. Absolutely just incredible. I really, really love red mason bees. They're just a brilliant little insect and so easy to attract to your garden. As I say, if you've got somewhere that's just sort of warm and south facing or west facing as well, it's absolutely fine. And they really are brilliant. Speaking of bees, I found a colony of my favourite bee when we moved to the Georgian Wildlife Garden, and that is a cracking little bee that comes out in April and May, and that's called a tawny mining bee. And these things are, I don't know whether it's the hair colour similarity, but these things are like bright ginger, more ginger than I am, more like when I was about 3 years old. And these things are kind of this gingery orange colour, and they're just almost like these little flying fireballs. They're just fantastic. And they actually nest in the ground and round the bottom of one of the big beech trees because it's lovely, well-drained, sort of sandy soils where we are. I've found about 20, I think, of these little holes, and quite often if I would just sort of sit there for a few minutes, I could see this hole, and then you just get these like little antennae sort of poke up out the hole, and this bee would have a look at me and then sort of zip back in the hole, and I'd sort of like step back, and then they'd come out and they'd go about their daily business. Absolutely incredible. So I'll be doing some more videos of those because they were a really nice find in the garden. So yes, I digress slightly, but that's why I do these lives. It's great to have all this, fantastic discussion about everything that's, everything that I see, everything that you see. It's just great. RI6366, you're a great inspiration, Joel. Hello from Romania. Romania, nice to see. I don't think we've ever had anyone from Romania on a live, so thank you very much for joining. And thank you, yes, well, that's the idea of the channel. I'm so great that this channel is hopefully a bit of a resource and inspiration for so many of you wanting to create habitats in your own garden. And obviously there's over 500 videos on the channel now, back catalogue that you can go through in your own time. I'm not saying you have to watch them all, but there's hopefully something there for everyone, no matter what you're trying to do. So thank you very much for the encouragement. It's lovely to see you joining us. Stickyman7585 said hi. Hello, Stickyman7585. Nephile 6001, greetings from Greek military. Wow, as I'm doing my service. In my free time, I'm reading Chris Baines, as you recommend me, and he's awesome, but it's coming to its end. What would you recommend next? Well, fantastic. Well, obviously a copy of Wild Your Garden. If you haven't got one, we do sell those on the online shop. This is the book that I wrote nearly 6 years ago now, in April. Which is a book all about wildlife gardening, as you can probably guess, about how to make different habitats, wildlife ponds, wildflower meadows, what trees and shrubs to plant, how to plant your nectar borders, everything like that, how to plan your garden for wildlife, little extras you should add as well. So yes, Wild Your Garden is as good a book as any, if you can. Adrian Thomas also did a very good book on gardening for wildlife as well, so look that up. So yeah, there's plenty of books out there, but obviously the one I made, Wild Your Garden, or wrote, was sort of, the last 20 years of my experience working with wildlife and creating these habitats. So it's sort of like a collection of my, heart and soul has gone into that over the last couple of decades. So hopefully that'll be a good resource from you. And it's also got in the back a list of all the different native trees and shrubs you should be planting if you're in the UK or the Northern Hemisphere. So hopefully that will help. Jules said my buddleias were laden with beautiful butterflies this year. Yeah, good year for butterflies. Obviously, we had such a dry spell. All the spring, right the way through the summer here in the UK, was really dry. To the point where in June, a lot of the verges alongside the roads looked as if it was July time. I mean, it was just absolutely tinder dry, if you like. The fields in April were just like dust. It was really, really dry. we didn't really get much in the way of rain until June or July, and even then there was very little. So yes, consequently a very good spring for butterflies in the UK. Not sure how it will have affected the summer species. So things like our skippers, which are later July and into August, they lay their eggs on grasses, and obviously if it's been very dry, the grasses are starting to decline. There's less vigour in them, so there's less larval food plant for the caterpillars. So we won't really know how that's affected a lot of our grass feeding species, of which there's a good 8 or 9 common species in the UK that rely on, and that's just butterflies without any moths, rely on laying their eggs on grass species. So we won't really know how that's affected them until next summer, if you like. But in general, it was a better year for butterflies, definitely, and certainly flying conditions were better, that's for sure. Aisha has said, hi Joel, any recommendations in terms of shrubs to plant in a shady and I think you mean damp side garden with a very little sunlight, even grass is struggling to grow? Damp, shady area, dogwood is very good. Dogwood is very good in wet and very good in shade as well. Hazel isn't too bad. Hazel will do reasonably wet conditions and shade as well. Spindle equally, not too bad. It'll do all right in clay and very well in shade. And holly is pretty good. It will prefer slightly wet, slightly drier conditions usually, but it will, depending on how wet it is, whether it's wet all year or just for part of the year, that holly might be okay. So, and obviously goat willow. It gets rather big, but it's a very good shrub for moths as a larval food plant, and it will grow very well in damp conditions. As many of you may well know, it'll pop up next to many wildlife ponds quite often. So goat willow is another good one. Hopefully that helps. Swipe 650 said, any update on weed killer gate? Joel, I think you mean garden. Yes, the poison garden. Well, crikey, what a battle we've had there. Long story short, we're still fighting with the police to get them to accept the fact that it's criminal damage. They actually closed the case on us because they said there wasn't enough evidence. And I just was like, are you kidding me? So I'd filmed, for those of you that hadn't seen, where my neighbour in my previous property had poisoned the entire stretch of my front wildlife garden that I just finished making. She killed all the native trees, the shrubs, the wildflowers that I planted. It was within a metre of my wildlife pond, so any drift could have potentially gone in there and affected a lot of the aquatic life. Obviously, herbicides can be absolutely lethal for aquatic life. So, yeah, and we had to beg and plead for the police to reopen the case because they initially closed it because they said there wasn't enough evidence, even though I had an admission on camera by my neighbour in the video that I posted saying that she'd done it and she was likely to do it again because she couldn't be bothered to trim any little branches basically that might have grown over from the hedgerow that I planted well within my boundary. So yes, the mentality of some people. I'm sure many of you have had situations with neighbours in the past, and yeah, that's something that I need to do a full update on. But I've just been waiting because it's been so infuriating for myself and Nikki. We've been going backwards and forwards with the police, and it's still ongoing. So, and I had a very kind offer from the neighbour of £200 to £300 to replace my entire section of fence. With native trees and shrubs and wildflowers, which is obviously nowhere near. I mean, I paid really good money for some specimen. I had a specimen plum tree, a silver birch, rowan. I had so much nice stuff in there. So we're obviously fighting for more than that to help cover the costs, because I've got to go back there. I've got to dig all the soil out because those chemicals are going to stay in that soil for a long time. I've got to replace that soil. I've got to put new plants and trees and shrubs in. And this is all because when we moved, we maintained the property and it's now rented out. So we've got tenants in there. So that's why I've still got a vested interest in this garden, and why I've not just said, oh, do you know what, the new owners can deal with it. So I obviously want to you know, keep that habitat. The new tenants that are in the house are absolutely love wildlife, and they're well and truly on board with keeping the mini meadow and the herbaceous borders and the pond and the bee hotel and everything that I created there. So it's great, but it just means that we need to try and, you know, get her to cough up, you know, to pay for these plants and trees and shrubs to be reinstated, because at the moment it's still, everything's just brown and dead. So, and it's the same in the back garden as well. So it's a real ongoing nightmare. So I will update you all when I have more information than just the police have decided to reopen the case. And it just takes any kind of litigation in this country. It just takes months and months and months. I mean, it's just awful. I don't know what it's like in any of the countries around the world, but yeah, it's not great here in the UK. So I will keep you all updated on that one. But thank you for asking. Keith said, looking forward to seeing what has attracted your garden. Yes, me too, Keith. Hoping to make the warmer place. Peace Garden's a great place for butterflies to colonise too. A nice little project. Yeah, Keith's got lots of butterflies coming to a local community garden there, which is absolutely brilliant. Tofrog, he sent me $10. Thank you very much, Rob. Really appreciate it. For a beverage of your choice, I'm going to love that and give it a like. I really appreciate it. Obviously, I don't ask for you guys to part with any of your hard-earned cash, but if you ever feel like this channel is giving you inspiration and helping to create more habitats, then you can always do like a bit of a thanks, a super thanks on these chats or under any of the videos. So yes, it's a really, really wonderful way of helping to keep these videos. It helps me put the time into making all these videos and doing these lives to give you this information to help other people create more habitats. So do feel free to pop us a cup of tea or a coffee, buy me a coffee, that sort of thing, if you like, at any time. Thank you. Awa's daughter, sorry I'm late. Plans sound fantastic, Joel. Thank you, yeah, and thanks for joining us, Angela. Jill said, I recall that in your previous home it was lovely. Yes, thank you. Yeah, the bee hotel, I'm guessing. And Jill said, I'm learning a lot about our fabulous bees. I was reading what the emoji was. Thanks for your knowledge, really appreciate it. No worries at all, thank you. And Angela, £5. Thank you so much, Angela. Really appreciate the support. You've always been a great supporter of this channel, as have so many of you, and it means a lot to me. It really does. And she also said, do you see any hares in the fields by your house? Yes, so at the back of the house we had, what do we have? I think 4 hares in the spring. It was really lovely to see. There were 2 pairs sort of rampaging around the field. It was really, really wonderful. So yes, we do get hares at the back of the garden, which is really nice. I'm hoping to encourage them into the meadow area when it's established, to give them a bit of a home when obviously all the crops are harvested throughout the summer, etc. So they can have a bit of a respite and refuge in the meadow when it's created. Jules said nature is so clever. You're not wrong, Jules. Yeah, it really is wonderful, and it has an amazing ability to bounce back. You know, when I've reported in the past on scenes of death and destruction where hedgerows have been removed or flailed and smashed to bits, or you know, people are spraying chemicals in town centres left, right, and centre, or councils are. You know, it's a real shame, but nature has an incredible ability to bounce back given a chance. So it's definitely worth considering the fact that you don't need to give it long. I mean, some of these habitats I create are an absolute oasis within a couple of years, which may seem like a long time, but it's really not, with the amount of life that can be attracted to a relatively small area. Case in point, my front garden where I used to live, just amazing, you know, 2 years, and the amount of wildlife. I think I recorded 19 species of butterfly, several really cool species of moth. Many butterflies actually laid their eggs on some of the larval food plants within the garden. We had frogs, newts, toads, birds coming to bathe and drink, the bees in the bee hotel, and it was 20 square metres. So most of you will have access to 20 square metres, I'm sure, and it's just incredible what can be attracted. So don't ever think you can't do your bit. Even if you've got a balcony, just putting some pots, you know, some pollinator pots on a balcony, you can still attract bees if you're 10 stories up, and butterflies. So yeah, you can always do a bit for wildlife. So don't ever think that you can't, that's for sure. And Sabine said, love the book and highly recommend it. Oh, thank you, Sabine. Yes, I was talking to the client I'm working for at the moment. He's been going through the book actually and saying, right, I need to add that, I need to add this, or I haven't got that, or I have got that. So it's fantastic. Andy Swainston. Hi, Andy. Andy's in the Cambridgeshire Fens, and you are a true inspiration, Joel. Thanks so much, Andy. So wonderful to hear that. It really does make my day when people say that. And Sabine said, I have my first 2 swallowtail caterpillars this summer. Oh, Sabine, come on. There's no need to be like that. For those of you that know me will know my passion for butterflies, and swallowtails are one of my favourite species, and I just love them. They're just incredible. We only have 1 species of swallowtail here in the UK, and that is found on the Norfolk Broads. But any of you watching from the States, for example, or indeed Europe, you'll have the scarce swallowtail. You have the European swallowtail in Europe, and then in the States you have all sorts of swallowtails, black swallowtails, pipevine swallowtails, of which I've seen several species when I've been to the States, and I just love them. They're just incredible. So, well done. And that was in my fennel I planted, hoping they would come. You inspire all of us, never giving up, trying. Well, that's wonderful to hear, Sabine. Thank you. Many greetings from Belgium. Yes, so if they've been on fennel, then I'm guessing that would be the European swallowtail. The scarce swallowtail, I believe, lays on more sort of fruiting varieties. So like plum trees, for example, I think, and willows as well, I believe. But thank you for joining from Belgium. Nice to see you. A country I've never been to, one I would love to visit. Jules said Joel's book is fantastic. Come on, Jules. There's no need to keep going on about how great it is. No, that's the first comment you made, to be fair. And thank you. It's wonderful to see so many of you genuinely enjoying the book. And it is a good Christmas present. You're absolutely right. And no, Jules isn't related, I promise you. She's just been a long time follower of the channel, which is just wonderful. And I'm so pleased to see so many familiar names coming back. It's really wonderful. Ava's daughter said, that's awful. It's most definitely criminal damage with willful intent. How maddening. Yes, and that's the poison garden. Absolutely, you're not wrong. Respawning said, came across your video with David Crossley recently. Would be nice to see you visit some more gardens / old projects. Yes, absolutely. I've got plans to try and get to some more of the projects that I've visited. As I mentioned earlier in this live, I will be maintaining the wetland project I've just created in Lancashire. Nearly forgot. And I've got plans to go back to, if many of you saw, the wetland project I created in London over the course of last winter and through until sort of April. We signed off the project, which was a wonderful new 1/4 acre wetland site right in the middle of London on Clapham Common with a publicly accessed pedestrian bridge. So if you're ever in London, get yourself down to Clapham Common. You can go and see my work firsthand. A 30-metre long wildlife pond with, like I say, a 12-metre pedestrian bridge across the middle. Native wildflowers around it, some meadow areas, native planting, of course, just wonderful. So I'm very much looking forward to making that video, but I just want to go back and get some after shots before I compile it all into one video. So I'm hopefully going back there this summer. So yes, that's another video coming in the fullness of time. But yes, I do try and obviously do tours. I'm always trying to line up more people I can visit, more gardens I can visit when I'm in an area, or gardens I can go back to when I can go and see clients that I've made gardens for in the past. So yes, lots more coming on that. And I am, of course, filming as I'm going round. It's just having the time to compile all these videos, which obviously takes quite a lot of time. Alongside running the online shop and the landscaping itself, it's pretty full on. So my evenings are mostly spent at a laptop one way or another. Lewis said, what happened to the legal action against the weed killer next door? Well, yeah, I've just said about that, Lewis, so if you can listen to it afterwards. But in essence, we're still waiting for the police to try and press for a criminal prosecution, hopefully. Before we can move further on that one, had to reopen the case. Absolute nightmare it's been, so we'll keep you posted as soon as I've got some proper info. Jules has sent me £5. Thank you so much, Jules. I appreciate all your knowledge and love the vlogs. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Jules. Really appreciate it. I really do, and hopefully these will go on to yes, become more of a regular feature as we move into the new year. A few things I've got coming up that I would like to add to the channel, a few things I'm changing. And I should say that since October I've been enrolled in a kind of a boot camp, if you like. So I did a boot camp on memberships back in whenever it was, the beginning of this year, I think. YouTube asked me if I'd like to go on a bit of an exclusive boot camp, so I did that. I've still not got memberships on the channel, something that I'm looking to hopefully introduce into the new year to give you guys a bit more from the channel, so you can join more regularly, have a customized membership only chat as well, so that you can constantly have these chats with yourselves when I'm not here doing these lives, because I think there's such a wonderful community on here, and unfortunately you only really get to connect if it's either one of these lives or it's under an old video. So yes, lots of things I want to talk to you about in the new year coming up from the channel. So, but yeah, thank you so much, Jules, for that. Keith said yes, thank you for advice. You can't beat first-hand knowledge experience. Yep, very true. It's how I learned. A lot of it is just sitting and watching wildlife. You know, if you do nothing else, you know, rather than reading any book, just getting out there, spending time in your garden or your local green space and just having a look around you, seeing what turns up, taking, you know, do things old school. You know, take out a bird book, blow the dust off a bird book and go and sit on a public bench somewhere and just see what you can see, you know, and try and ID them if you're not very good with your bird IDs. Get a pair of binoculars. You know, binoculars really are the way into the birding world. Because unless birds are coming close to you on a set of feeders or going in and out of a bird box regularly, half the time they're just black spots at the end of a garden. And unless you're familiar with the calls as well, which is another good way to ID birds. So get yourself an app like Merlin, for example, is really good for helping. You can record the sound of a bird and it'll tell you what that bird is, and then you can get used to it. But yeah, just get out there and experience some wildlife. You know, get off your phone, stop watching me, and go. Well, it's pitch black right now in the UK, so wait till the end of this. Go and listen for some owls. But no, generally speaking, just go and sit outside. It's some of the best things you can do, and look at the smaller stuff. You know, focus on a square meter patch in your garden, even if it's just lawn. You'll be amazed at how many spiders, ants, invertebrates are living within that space, and it soon opens your eyes to. Hopefully thinking how important every square inch of our back gardens are in terms of a habitat for wildlife. Andy Parkin said, advice on finding long enough drill bits for bee holes, please. Very good question, Andy. I've had that same problem myself, especially as you get smaller diameter, you know, and you want to try and drill, I don't know, a 6-inch hole with a 7mm drill bit. You know, 7mm drill bits are usually 2 or 3 inches long. So I'd say just check online. A lot of the DIY stores often don't do them. I mean, places like B&Q sometimes do a big pack. But even then, what I've tended to do is go into, if you can find like a local engineering company or like an engineering store near you, quite often they'll sell individual kind of longer drill bits. So any kind of metalworking places near you, try and get yourself down there. If they don't have them, they might be able to source them for you or, you know, point you in the right directions. That's what I'd say on that one, Andy. But yeah, very, very valid comment. Down the allotment, hello, Joel. How low's things going with your old garden? Yes, so the old garden, well, I've just mentioned on the channel here, it's a bit of an ongoing battle with the police at the moment to try and get them to admit that it is criminal damage. Nightmare, but I will do a video on it soon. Tetsu said, sorry if you've mentioned it already. How is the missing dog? Yeah, Angel, she's still at large, unfortunately. So yeah, we're trying to get her home. We've got rescue teams working on it. We've got cameras out there. We've got feeding station going. We've got drone operators going. I'm out there when I can, when I'm back at the weekends, trying to find her. It's just been a nightmare. All the locals are, you know, aware that she's missing. I've put up posters. We literally cannot do any more than we're doing. But she's still at large. So all I can say is she's probably living her best life. She's going around picking up food that she can find from various, no doubt, cat food bowls outside that people are leaving and things, and she's just enjoying country life in a very quiet part of the country. And that's what I would say is a relief. We're not near any major roads. It's mostly open fenland, open countryside. There's very little traffic. We're at almost the end of a dead end road, so it's very peaceful. So hopefully that works in our favour and it's less likely for her to come into contact with humans or indeed cars. Fingers crossed. Let's have a look. Jez Atkin, thank you so much for the inspiration. Now I have loads of native trees, shrubs, pond and wildflowers due to you. Thank you, that's brilliant. Who inspires you? Also, do you have any experience of hoverfly lagoons? What a question. Who inspires me? Well, a lot of it comes from you guys, actually, you know, and seeing what you've done, you know, whether you share an email with me or some of the comments on here, for example, of what you've done. You guys actually inspire me to keep making these videos, to keep doing these lives, because I realise just how important they are. And for some people who unfortunately can't get out as well, a lot of people watch this who don't have the ability to get out in a garden or don't have a green space. I do recognise that this channel is quite often a bit of an outlet for you. So it's not that I feel an obligation, but I really very much enjoy creating this content to bring you these videos to help you see the outside world, see some of the wildlife and some of the things that I see. But generally speaking, in the beginning, it was Chris Baines. He's still an inspiration of mine. He's a good friend of mine, came to my wedding 2 years ago. And he is kind of the godfather of wildlife gardening here in the UK. I've done a whole interview with him. Fantastically incredible guy. So go to the interviews page if you can and go and have a look at Chris Baines' interview. It's a mammoth watch. It's about 2.5 hours, but I couldn't condense what this man had to say into any less time than that. He is just an absolute force for nature. He really is, and he was an inspiration to me, still is. And yeah, as are many people, too many to name, but a lot of it comes from you guys. So please be aware of that. It's wonderful to see so many of you doing this. Sabine says Papillia macaron. Okay, so yeah, so the European swallowtail. Thank you. Butterfly JK4TZ. Hi Joel. Hello. I had a big green dragonfly buzzing around my new pond this summer, and this is before any plants established. So looking forward to next year for sure. Yes, obviously dragonflies will come into a garden to feed on insects, so they don't necessarily need a pond. They just need to be able to access insects to feed on, which is their diet, and they kind of fly up to an insect and they sort of cradle them with their legs and they actually eat them on the wing. So it's quite brilliant to see, gory but amazing. Obviously an absolute apex predator, the dragonfly. Incredible. They can fly up to 15 meters a second. They can turn on a sixpence, obviously, and shoot the other way. They're just incredible. So I really do love them. And you don't have to have a pond, like I say. If you've got hedge lines, if you've got a lot of herbaceous borders, if you've got longer grassy areas, they will hunt over meadows. They will hunt along tree lines, particularly species like migrant hawker that come in. They love the edge of woodlands. So yes, dragonflies are easy to attract to your garden, and great to see that you've got them coming before you've got any plants and a pond and things. So that's brilliant. Down the allotment said, yes, Joel, very true. I've got a camera to look at the badgers at my allotment. I've just sent you a video of a tawny owl a while back. Oh, fantastic. I'll take a look at that. I do love a good video of a tawny owl. I had a great success with a tawny owl box I put up for a client a couple of years back in the Fens in Lincolnshire again, only about an hour from where I live. Right near the wash actually, and it's a meadow that I created and I'm still yet to do the after video or full creational video of. And I put this tawny owl box up in this tree, and the very next spring I got a picture from the client of this little grey fluff ball sat at the entrance, which was of course a baby tawny owl. Absolutely fantastic. It just absolutely made my month, if not year, that did, seeing a tawny owl at the edge of a wildlife garden tawny owl box in a box I'd put up. It's just wonderful to see, and no doubt many of you can relate to that. If you've put up a box before and a bird's taken to it, or you've put a plant in specifically to attract a certain butterfly or moth or something, it's just wonderful when nature turns up on cue and rewards you for your efforts. I think it's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, great to see that you sent me a video. I'll have a look at that. Thank you. Blue Tomato, hello Blue Tomato, thanks for joining us again. I know you joined us last time with the lives. Hello. Dissimulant mamba. Wow, that's a mouthful. Whatever happened to the lady that sprayed your garden? Okay, yeah, I'm not going to keep repeating this, but basically we're still ongoing, unfortunately. We've effectively got to a point where we're waiting for the police to come back to us with a confirmation of criminal damage, which is where we are. We had to get the case reopened, so been a nightmare. I will update you all as soon as I can. And Keith said, yes, was such a thrill finding a Eurasian swallowtail on the cliffs at St Margaret's a couple of years ago. Yeah, I can imagine, Keith. Yeah, swallowtails, again, another species that possibly might colonise or start to colonise. They really are a wonderful butterfly, and they are hopefully starting. I think these are insects that are coming over from the continent, along with things like the long-tailed blue, which lay their eggs on the pea family, sort of everlasting peas, sweet peas, that sort of thing. So, and they have bred in places in Sussex, particularly around Brighton, in the past, and they've been recorded in as late as November. So, hopefully, they're another species. There are some bonuses to global warming, albeit not a huge amount. Species are starting to migrate further north, in particular our insect species, bird species as well. So who knows, maybe they will be two species that are recorded as being resident species in the UK full time within the next decade. Who knows? It'll be wonderful to see more of them turn up, that's for sure. Things like the common butterfly are already moving north. White letter hair streak, that's now found in Scotland. So yeah, everything seems to be going that little bit further north with climate change. So yes, undeniable evidence really that climate change is a real factor in the distribution of these insects, for sure. And Vivian said, Chris Baines and Joel Ashton Wildlife Gardeners doesn't get much better than that. Well, what a compliment. Thank you so much, Vivian. To even be put in the same category as Chris Baines, I'll take that. Thank you very much. So yes, okay guys, well I'm going to wrap up tonight's live. We've been going for an hour and a quarter now, and it's wonderful. I've just thoroughly enjoyed it yet again. It's been great to see you all. It's been great to hear some of your comments, great to respond to some of your questions. Hopefully I've answered them all. I don't think I've missed any. And yeah, I really look forward to more of these. What's this? So please read mine. I'm in New York City and I want to know what plants I should plant in a garden. Would your book be helpful, or are the UK plants in the book not suitable? Yes, I would say the books, some of them will be relevant, but then some of them not. So, you know, you can always drop me a line if you like, enquiries@wildyourgarden.com. Or just, you know, go onto my website, hazelwoodlandscapes.com, and drop us a contact form there. I'm happy to try and advise you if I can. Yeah, it depends on whether it's north, south, east, west facing. And I'm not confident enough to know enough about the flora, the native flora of the US to recommend. So, but yeah, happy to give it a shot if you want to drop me an email, for sure. And thank you for joining from New York. Our second person joining from New York, which is brilliant. Keith said, nice to see you, Joel. Thanks for your continued inspiration. You're very welcome, Keith. Blue Tomato, absolutely love your longer interviews. They are treasures. I hope I will find you live earlier next time. Thank you so much, Joel. Yes, Blue Tomato. Well, as I say, I've got 2 more lives coming up before Christmas. So if you can join me this Wednesday, the 17th, I have put a link on the channel now. So if you go on the channel, you should be able to see the scheduled lives. We've got one coming up on Wednesday this week, slightly later. I'm doing that between 7 and 8 p.m. UK time, GMT. And then I will be going live again on Saturday, my last episode, our Christmas edition, shall we say, of the lives, which will be 6 till 7 p.m. So that's this coming Saturday, the 20th of December, 6 till 7 p.m. and this Wednesday, the 17th of December, 7 till 8 p.m. But as I say, if you go on the channel, you'll see them hopefully on the scheduled lives. If you click on the lives section, you'll see them. They'll be there. So yeah, hopefully some of you can come back and join me again, and we can have some more interesting tales, and we can talk a bit more about what I'm going to be up to in the coming weeks, some of the projects I've got on. We've already spoken a little bit about the Georgian Wildlife Garden, and if you've missed any of this, like Blue Tomato, if you've joined late, then don't worry, I will be uploading this to YouTube as well. So thank you. Yes, thank you very much for joining me. Joel said brilliant live. Cheers, Joel. Thank you very much. Keep up the brilliant work, Joel. Thanks for that, said Cossacks. Yeah, bye, Joel. Have a good night. Thank you. Yes, likewise. See you all very soon. Lots of love to you all. Thank you so much for joining me, as always. And yeah, stay wild, stay tuned, and I'll see you in a couple of days, hopefully, Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. UK time. Thanks a lot, everyone. See you soon. Cheers.